Welcome to 3 on the Ones and Twos with your hosts, Tom, Cassie, and James. Just 3 old friends talking about their favorite records. Think of it as the coolest book club for music nerds.
Welcome to the Trackside Tavern. How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Cheers. Thank you, Brian and Mikey at the Trackside Tavern. Thank you, PBR. Thank you, Jameson. Super excited and welcome to 3 on the Ones and Twos. And we love having special guests. And this one is going to be real special. And we love what he brought to the table and what he's going to talk about. I'm going to pass the mic to James, and then we are going to introduce our special guest and get into it, as they say.
Well, this is our old friend, Henry Owings. Old as in I've known you for a long time. I would say about 1993, when you were living in Athens. I was going to school in Athens. Cassie was in Athens. Tom was coming up.
I was moving, sure. Just moved into town.
My friend Billy Nation did a drawing for one of your early issues of Chunklet. So we didn't formally meet, really, but I knew who you are, whatever, and then you started booking shows for bands I was in, put on shows, some really good times, and we very much appreciate that.
Yes.
And all the things you've done in Athens, in Atlanta, the Echo Lounge, everything else, doing Chunklet, and a lot of other
booked,
stuff.
So many of my different bands, and just been an awesome integral part of the Atlanta and Athens, but for me, Atlanta music scene. So thank you for all that you've done, man.
Yeah.
Time to make you blush. Time to make you blush. But let's introduce our guest.
And they're making this up.
And let's introduce our guest, and let's let him talk about this record that he brought.
Yeah. Thanks, Henry Owings. Thanks for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Cheers, everybody. I'm going to have a little sip of this Jameson.
I'm going to have a sip of my Jameson.
I'll have mine.
Cheers,
Might
thank
as
you,
well.
Jameson.
Start it
Yes,
off.
wonderful Sunday morning.
I'm going to save the second half of that for later.
That is just what the doctor, I think, ordered.
That was a good one.
So yeah, let's talk about this record.
So do you want me to take it from here?
Yes,
The floor is
the whole
yours.
idea of the show is, it's funny, James, you're one of the first people that James thought of when we came up with this idea, is it's just, let's say, whatever you want to call it, music fans, music nerds, best friends, having drinks, talking about records, and there's no edits, so feel free.
Okay, so...
And you threw us a curveball.
Yes, you did.
Well,
Yes.
my whole thing is, I think that I am sitting at a table with people that there is nothing I am going to be able to say about the Damned or the Clash or Rocky Erickson that is going to either surprise or entice you. However, there are a lot of I collect a lot of records for shock value, and one of my absolute all-time favorite records that I love putting on when people come to the house and they want me to play records for them
Yes.
is Muhammad Ali versus Tooth Decay.
Excellent.
And it is a record that that is very near and dear to my heart. I bought my first copy, I think, when I was 15, 16.
Yeah, it's a childhood record of yours.
And I think I didn't spend more than a quarter for it.
Yep.
Well, I mean, you say wow, but you got to realize it's an absolutely atrocious record. With that said,
it's amazing.
The thing I love about this record is you can read a room immediately by putting it on. So everybody here has listened to the record?
Yes.
I'm not asking if you enjoyed the record. I'm asking if you listened to it.
I did, and I enjoyed it.
Well, thank you for bringing it and bringing it to our attention, because I'd never heard of it before, and that's the other great thing about this show.
So, when you first bought this for a quarter, was the draw partly because I think a lot of people our age were Muhammad Ali fans. I mean, he was one of my idols when I was a little kid, right? So
that didn't enter into it at all. I just as I know James can attest to, because I think that he and I share a lot of the same proclivities. I can't speak for either of you, but it's what I loved about the early '90s and especially the '80s was people were giving records away. Like it was just like, man, it's. I remember putting out records and people were like, man, this is. Like people would ridicule me. They say, "Why are you making records?"
Right.
And this was like 1991,
right,
92,
right.
93.
Yeah.
And but the thing I love about this record is it is a very easily gettable record.
Yeah.
But we haven't even talked about the record.
No, and we are going to get into
So two things you should know about me is number one. I don't give a. Can I swear on this show?
You can do whatever you want.
I don't give a flying fuck about sports. So I mean, it's like on. I mean, I think that Muhammad Ali as a persona
is a hero.
Is untouchable.
Right.
Yep.
However, you're going to kind of lose me very quickly.
Yeah. Have you ever watched it?
It's like it's not my thing. It's like, but you know, it's like I have like the, but I have an entire collection of records that are similar to this, where it's more. I wouldn't say ironic. It is more. It's kind of like outsider art because
sure.
when you listen to this record, now we haven't even talked about. We said Muhammad Ali, but we have not even gotten into the cast of this.
Right.
Well, I was going to say the special guests on it that he has.
But before we go into that, I wanted to know. So you said that you actually collect a lot of these like type records. So what is it? Why did you pick this one? What makes
and it certainly
this
wasn't
one
Muhammad Ali.
special
So did you
for
see the cover? Like what was
that
it?
This is the one.
It
that
is.
You really
Well,
wanted.
I think immediately upon looking at it, I mean, it's like, well, you would say to yourself, what could Muhammad Ali bring to a record? Number one. But number two, you have to say to yourself, Tooth Decay.
Right.
And so it's Muhammad Ali and his gang. And his gang are children. And there's so much to unpack with this record, and I was thinking about this. So the cast is as such. It's like, again, keep in mind, this record came out in like 1974 and 76.
Yeah.
It's Jane Kennedy, the sports announcer, Ozzie Davis, the actor Richie Havens, who played at Woodstock.
He played at Woodstock.
First artist.
Arthur Morrison.
Musician.
Howard Cosell.
And he does. Howard Cosell does the play-by-play, but the mind fuck of the entire record is that Frank Sinatra is not only is Frank Sinatra
blue eyes.
Not only is Frank Sinatra on the record, I think they recorded him on a speakerphone. I mean, if you listen to the record, it is atrociously produced.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody was recorded in the same building, let alone the same engineer.
Right. Well, especially there's one track where like Muhammad Ali is like saying things, and then the kids are all like, ooh. But it's the exact same track that they just like put down every time.
Oh, it's the same ooh. It's the exact same ooh. Yeah, I think Frank Sinatra did it from like a jail cell or something. Over the phone.
He did it from his limo. That was.
We got it. Like this time frame, like the 70s, it was very, very campy. It was campy, and they did have a lot of. Because I think that was right around the same time that they were doing, what was it, where they had the rock, because that's how I learned, like, the preamble to the Constitution.
Oh,
right?
the bicentennial, it was the big...
Schoolhouse Rock was wonderful.
Right.
Yeah, great show.
America...
Like, time frame.
But to say, I mean, respectfully, to say that it's camp, I would agree with you. However, I don't think that they made the... This was made by
intentional.
They made it intentionally, Cap. No.
This was made by the American Dental fucking Association.
Yeah.
So a bunch of dentists said,
Yes.
you know what's a great idea?
We'll give you some money. Let's have Muhammad Ali and Frank Sinatra talk about. Yeah.
Wait, Henry, was it made by them? Because I know that if you research the album, like, and you just put in the name, trying to look it up, you're going to come up with a whole bunch of like dental websites.
Right.
This. No, seriously, like have like
just go on Discogs.
like writing.
Yeah. I mean, can we talk about like the people, like the people, like
Yeah,
I mean, the
yeah.
pictures and the inside sleeve
I
are
mean,
just.
I love that
I
there's
didn't
a-
go into that because
there's
he
a
has,
girl's
like,
side
he has
versus a
lots of
boy's
versions
side,
of this
too.
and he's got the
Well,
record,
So I'm a designer. Like this
Yeah.
is what I do for a living, and
What's your take on the?
well,
on the design of
it's fucking hilarious.
It's horrible and awesome.
No, well, it's like if you want to talk camp, it's like they were very clearly doing something. I mean, the back cover alone of Muhammad Ali in a farm, with like cutout heads, like there's Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
It is. So when you're looking at this cover and you're looking at the inside,
Oh, there is Frank Sinatra. I didn't really pay attention.
goddamn right. I mean, it's like you have Frank Sinatra. I mean, it's your number one get. Of course, you're going to put him on the cover.
But it is funny because his head's just pasted on
I mean,
this
to be
front
honest
cover.
with you, I could picture Outkast doing
Do you
this
think
as
it's
a
a-
record cover. It's like, I mean, it's amazing.
Maybe it was like one of the dentists, at the American Dental Association or whatever.
So,
designed it.
there has been a recurring thought in my mind about this record, which I would like to present to you guys.
Please do,
Which
yes.
is, I think everybody had to serve like what is it, like
Community service?
Community service.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Everybody got a DUI on this or something?
well,
and then
because
they're
I
supposed
don't
to-
think anybody said to themselves, I'm going to do this. I certainly know that Muhammad Ali or Frank Sinatra are not doing it because of how much they love children. In 1976,
Yeah.
spare me.
Yeah.
So,
I said, it sounds like Sinatra did his recording from a jail
Well, I
cell.
think that from what I read, like after this one, I don't know if it was like how long after, but like Muhammad Ali also did one for like anti-drug, like like another children's record, anti-drug, like
well,
so
one
it's
of
kind of a.
well, to go off of that, one of my favorite comedians when I was a kid was Bill Cosby, and I have his records memorized. He did a record, which I was seriously considering bringing that instead of this.
Yeah.
Which was Muhammad Ali talks to kids, or I'm sorry, Bill Cosby talks to kids about drugs.
Yeah.
Right.
And the cover is him standing on like a Brooklyn brownstone, like at the top of the stairs, and there's this cascade of kids.
Right.
Like
I think I
looking
know
at him.
that. Yeah.
Oh, wow, I need to look up
Which
that
is so
image.
funny given the
Yes, Bill
current
Cosby,
whatever.
yeah.
But
Might be
like
more-
that's it's like.
So again,
Yeah.
like
It's a loaded
I
episode.
didn't want to give
Big time.
I didn't want to give a known predator
Sure.
credit.
And the
Still, but like
airtime,
it's kind of, but it's funny. It's like because he was.
Oh,
he
it's
was-
funny,
he
all
was
right.
a- Well, it's not okay. It's not funny to them, but it's like okay. So it's ironic because back then,
No,
like
he was like America's dad.
Yeah.
Bill Cosby
I mean, for
himself.
sure,
I mean,
yeah.
great record.
So-
in the mid-70s.
Yeah.
I have a question about the farm part. When they go to the farm, who is the farmer? Do you know who? Is that Richie Havens? I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the role other than Frank Sinatra because they're like, it's Frank Sinatra, and Howard Cosell is like, hey, I'm Howard Cosell.
Is that Ozzie
But I
Davis?
wonder who
is
the-
it Ozzie Davis?
Yeah.
Is he
farmer,
the guy who says
Well,
that?
he's the
Who
he
talks
does
about
the
good
wholesome
diet
food.
and-
I think that's Ozzie
Okay,
Davis, right?
okay. Yeah, I didn't know. Who is Richie Havens? That was my question. Is what was
Yeah,
his
good
what was his
question.
character?
There is
because they don't identify him. I think,
whoever
on the
who
record.
there is very clearly a reason that people are not credited on this record.
Sure.
Right.
It's
There
kind
is
of
a
buried
reason. I
little
mean,
bit.
nobody wants their thumbprint on this.
Right.
It is. But it is a record.
It's a
that-
record you get in the drugstore, when you're
Right.
when you're a kid.
Here's
It could be your
something-
first record.
And
It
I
could be a lot of
think,
kids' first
did you
record.
bring this up to me when we first got here? We were kind of like that. This is like it's the fight of the century, which is kind of like a common slogan. But this did come out on like their and the centennial, right? of
Yeah, the bicentennial. Yeah.
bicentennial
All the
of
American
the-
stuff.
That's
and-
why 'cause
Right.
some of those songs that they have is like about Paul Revere and about like the Liberty
who
Bell.
who put the crack in the
who put the
Liberty
Who put the
crack
Bell?
back in the
Liberty
Bell? Who
Bell.
did the
All
ride of Paul Revere?
Revere, it's
Well,
like-
obviously it's Paul Revere, right? It's not.
But I was.
I think it was Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, it was definitely.
It might have been him.
But
Yeah, let's not.
Ali.
But I was talking to James about it, and he pointed out that the record came out right around that time. So that's kind of an interesting,
Very much of that time.
yeah.
I love
it
that.
made more sense when you put that out. I was like, why do they keep talking about all this American history?
I love that you have chosen this record, one, to bring to us today, but I love that you use it as a gauge at least I'm gathering from you and your wicked sense of humor, that's awesome. But like when you have people over, you gauge if you're gonna like someone or not. If someone says this is horrible, well, I don't want you in my house. If someone knows it's horrible, they go, this is awesome. You know they're a cool person.
Well,
They appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
yes. I mean, it's like, I mean,
It's a good gauge.
I could very easily play a T-Rex record or a
Sure.
Thin Lizzy
Something
record.
And people would
or-
love it, yeah.
And I mean, it's like, but when you play a record like Muhammad Ali and his gang versus Mr. Tooth Decay,
Wonderful.
you're really not just getting a read of the room, but you can tell so much about the people
That's right.
that are listening to it. It's like when they go, what the fuck is this? And they go, oh, this is, they say, oh, this is horrible.
But they're like,
Chances
"Please
are
turn
they're
it
not
off."
coming back to your house.
Yeah, I was gonna
But
say,
if-
chances are they are horrible.
Well,
I mean, I was
It's
just
like-
saying, it's like, yeah.
This is
like,
hysterical.
There's
This is
something
awesome, yeah.
admirable about people that actually like step outside the box.
But this particular record, I have probably put on as record number 1 when people come to the house.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
just putting on a record.
And you can, and you know how you're going to clear the room. You're like, okay, I want you 4 to stay, and the rest of you can
But
go.
it's like,
You
it's
used to do this just to say back in, I remember when, like in the Echo Lounge days and other times when, and I could be wrong, but I remember the in-between band soundtracks, and I feel like you were kind of behind it a little bit with, you'd put on, like, Mastodon would be playing,
Yeah.
and I can remember in between you'd be putting on, like Japanese pop music or like
Oh, yeah.
just
Right.
all this real like counter, you
Yeah.
know.
Well,
stuff.
my argument is like I love vanilla ice cream,
Yeah.
but I also love pistachio ice cream, and I also like sorbet, and so
Sure.
when it comes to music, I
Sure.
don't see how you're doing any favors by if everything like with shows. It's
Sure.
like I don't understand why everybody says every band has to be like vanilla ice cream.
You're right.
Or pistachio
to be
or
this,
whatever.
like-
and to me,
Yeah.
it's like I always like to think that I'm returning the favor.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Sure.
because it's like it's like I went to Fugazi shows
Mm-hmm.
as a kid in DC, and there would be like acoustic acts. And,
Yeah, sure.
You know,
A
like,
Big Chestnut
techno
would
band,
play.
or,
yeah.
or you know,
Yeah.
like a poetry reading, and
Yeah.
and to me, it's like that's to me far more
Interesting.
titillating than just saying, how about just a whole bunch of white guys that are
Yeah,
yelling into a
sound like-
Yeah,
microphone?
why do you want to see 3 bands that sound exactly alike?
Well,
I don't want to see 3
recorded-
bands that sound
recorded-
exactly alike.
Music, not necessarily just music, some of it like, you know, spoken or children's records. Like it's just, I mean, it's a media that shouldn't just be, yeah, music, like putting just music on vinyl or any type of recorded media is like, that's the box. And it's like, so things outside the box, things that are like,
Yeah.
which is still.
Like
The box is immaterial.
like
to my
outside,
enjoyment
like
of
outside of
it.
Yeah.
like
Or any
outside of
And
art.
it
art.
should
Yeah.
be. I mean, because you never know if you limit yourself to that, you're probably missing out on some,
Well, but-
I don't know, some pretty fun stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Sounds fun.
Well,
It's
but
a beautiful children's story.
Well, but
Henry.
that's why when I was asked to be on the show, like I did not want. I
Right.
mean, it's
take
like
it
I
out.
don't
Yeah.
know you very well, but I do know Tom and James very
Yeah.
well, and I know for certain there would not be a quote unquote predictable record that would surprise them. However, I knew
This was a surprise,
that Muhammad
yeah.
Ali would
Yeah.
be something that I could go up on stage and talk about this record for 25 minutes, and forgive me, are you guys going to be playing this during?
No, we'll
Are people going to hear it?
but we'll start pushing the record when it comes out, and we'll
Oh,
tell
definitely
people.
push it. Man.
We'll tell,
this.
at the end of this, we'll tell people, hey, listen to this, and we'll thank Muhammad Ali.
Well,
but
WFMU is always like at the forefront of this kind of like outsider kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a. Would you consider this a novelty record in your thing?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
I mean, it's like
It's
I
a
mean,
children's
well, you
record?
mentioned outsider
where
art.
the hell do you put it? Is it a
Well,
children's record? Is it a
is-
comedy
it is,
record?
It was actually when it came out in I remember.
76.
Well, yeah, but I don't remember the year that like the Grammys came out, like in whatever.
Oh, it
but
was-
it was
oh,
it
like
was
the
up.
77.
It was up
Nominated for a
Grammy.
Cure Kids record,
It was
yeah.
up for a Grammy for like best children's record.
Health education
and it
record,
actually
or-
lost to what was my favorite children's record. It was
Bill
like
Cosby talks to kids about drugs.
It was,
Oh, too soon?
it's,
Too
it's
soon.
the Peter and the Wolf.
Oh, Peter,
It's the
yeah.
Peter and the Wolf where they play the music for like this is the cat, this, you know, and they
Yeah.
play like a certain
Tchaikovsky's
like,
always going to win.
Well, I love the
Asshole.
description of outside of art, but you know for a fact they weren't thinking about that when they did this. We
But I think
you know,
it's pretty
saying,
cool that it was up for a Grammy.
Oh, that's
Like,
great,
it's like,
yeah.
you know.
well, listen,
They'll give those things to anybody.
they really will. They're giving out records. They're giving
You do have a point. Yes.
For a
unbelievable.
children's record.
So-
I thought it was fun to listen to. I
The
loved
adventures of, yeah, I mean, I love it. And I also am a huge fan of, and I know everyone at this table is, you know, I think it's sad that you buy a record today and you're lucky if there's 2 good songs on it, and that's gross and heinous. Please have it, yes. And we listen to records like if I'm listening to a T-Rex record, or let's say a Tom Waits Rain Dogs record, I'm cleaning the house and doing paperwork or running errands, and I'm listening to it as like a musical, like a piece of art. And so this thing you would not put on and go, put on side 2. You're gonna put it on and listen to the whole thing in your
It's a
house.
fun
It's
record.
a fun record.
It's so fun.
It's really
It's
fun,
so
you know.
Yeah.
And honestly, listening to it, I ended up walking around my house like singing, "Who knocked the crack in the Liberty Bell?" Like, you know, it's fun. It's just fun, and it just reminded me of
And
being
Sugar,
a kid.
Sugar
I'm-
Cuba and
Cuba,
and
which
Mr.
is funny, like
Dr. Tooth Decay or whatever his name is.
Oh,
It's actually
we-
Sugar Cuba, but
Yeah, exactly.
but it's but for some reason it's like Sugar Cuba.
So-
But-
It's great. Yeah.
I'm sorry, like I want to make sure that we get to Mr. Tooth Decay,
Yes,
which is
please.
Yeah.
easily probably the most racist.
It is
Yeah,
pretty rough.
it's so bad.
It doesn't age well,
Kind
yeah.
of
You mean
like,
like the-
it is not aged well.
I mean the voice, like
Well,
the
so-
yeah,
And the
so
words, yeah, it's
stereotypical and, like,
very-
yeah.
Is he supposed to be like a Dracula character?
I
What is
think
this
it's supposed to.
be?
If I
He's
were,
supposed to be
if
the villain. Yeah.
if I were to hazard a guess, I would say it's like a Boris and Natasha.
Yeah, I was thinking Boris.
Yeah.
Kind of
So
thing.
maybe
But
Eastern
he
European.
sounds a little
communist.
Like,
It's a communist.
Swarthy.
A little
Yeah.
Yiddish, right? Like he sounds a
There's
little
some weird
Yiddishy.
racial stuff going
There's
on.
Yeah.
definitely,
that-
Like
it's
he-
funny
he
how
has
stuff
a little
ages.
accent, like a, yeah.
So that's the first thing.
foreigner.
The second thing, how are
Yeah.
we on time?
We got a couple more minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
5
so
minutes, 6
so
minutes.
there are two things I want to bring up. Number one, I own 7 copies of
Yes,
this record.
Wow.
actually, that's the main
And-
thing we want everyone to know.
Because no, not everybody wants to know that, but I think what deserves to be brought up is the fact they did 7 different
That's
printings
crazy.
Yes,
of this
yes,
record.
yes.
I wonder
at
how
this
many
earlier.
how many were pressed. I wonder how many have been sold.
Too many.
Because I have my copy that I got online, and
Discogs.
so
How
I
much
think-
did you
I
pay
think
for it? Can I
this
ask?
is- Yeah, it was close to $20.
Get
It says $2.98.
Oh my God, that's
and so
If that was-
please tell it. So, and this is the most
Cassie
common
gets
copy.
fleeced
Henry
on
told
these,
me.
for
Henry
sure.
told me
Unbelievable,
that
Cassie.
this is the most common copy. He has
That-
the rarest
this one-
copy
He has the
that
most
he
rare
paid
copy.
some-
Hello to Wax and
that
Facts.
he paid-
Yes.
I paid
So much-
$3 for this version at Wax and Facts, and it's the
It's the rarest.
artwork is
It's
completely different.
Like, show it for the people that are watching.
it-
No, the artwork,
Oh.
because that's really
The back.
because
Farm, yeah.
Because it's really completely different. I mean, it doesn't have the faces of like.
I gotta look at
you
Wax
know,
and Facts more about
Frank
looking.
Yeah.
Sinatra
Well,
and Muhammad Ali
so
and
so
stuff.
like
Whoa.
so
Cool.
yeah
You got
so
the tooth.
yeah so
Yeah,
so
mine,
there
mine just has the with the kids. and
it's the gift that keeps on giving. So this is the
Right.
first thing, but the second thing is I wanted to bring what the Cajuns would call something that is lagniappe, which is a little something extra.
Yes,
I
please
wanted
do.
to show you the sequel.
Whoa!
Ooh.
And I
This is a first.
this is
Yeah.
this
With
is
Jimmy
the,
Carter?
This is the sequel. It's Jimmy Carter in the fall of Mr. Tooth Decay.
What?
It's the same. There's Mr. Tooth Decay right there,
And Sugar
there's
Cuba?
Jimmy Carter. And look at that cast of characters.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
That's Bob.
And
amazing.
inspired by Carol Burnett, So she came up with this and like wrote the idea.
don't know.
All
like,
I'm going to
that's
say is
amazing.
everybody must have been running for Z Hills when
I-
they,
That's
by
a
all
sequel.
means,
That's-
whenever I find somebody that is attracted to this record,
This is like a Dr. Feelgood record.
That was
Without a
good.
doubt,
That was
yeah,
good.
it's
I
awesome.
actually, I'm like so happy that you picked it. And wait, okay, we paid a little bit more for
I
this.
paid a lot for this. I found this in Toronto when I was going around with Damien from Fucked Up at a record show, and I could not believe that I found this.
Yeah, you got to buy that.
I can't believe that he got. I didn't get this. Did this only come in the
Just be
form of-
careful. Don't touch
come on,
this.
come on,
This
come on.
is
Let's
Be very, very careful.
better
like-
not look at it.
That's so cool.
but yeah, it's like it is. I have a distinct affinity for different pressings of records, and especially with a record such as this, which you would just say to yourself,
Yeah.
who in their right mind would spend real money for this? This thing was so in demand. Seven
Like
different times they
repress.
said.
And they put out one.
And listen, and the sequels got Pat Boone and Lily Tomlin,
Right,
and
but-
Frank Sinatra
but
came
speaking-
back.
but speaking-
That's
but speaking
insane.
of
Billie Jean King.
Speaking of the,
Yeah, I was thinking it
one
says
that
Billie
Henry
Jean right
brought,
there.
like it has like gold foil, like on the front, like
Unbelievable.
gold foil. Like where's the? I mean,
Oh, I
it's
thought
just
that was
like
Bob Dylan.
yeah,
I
it's
thought
like that's
that's all
kind
it
of
was like.
crazy. Where it's just like because kids normally kids records, kids don't care.
No.
Like kids do not care. But it's like, but yeah, this one, his rare version has like.
Harlow
I mean,
Guthrie.
the rare is.
I mean, to say that this is rare would just like kind of denigrate
It
rare.
is.
It's an unlistenable record that I really enjoy.
I don't think
Yeah,
it's
we like-
though.
well,
It
it's
had so
fun.
much
It's
fun.
a
all
fun
the
It's a
record.
party record.
It's a party record.
It's something you put on when people come over as a
It's such a
discussion
fun
piece.
record.
You can
But-
talk about. You can gauge the room.
But I do get.
You can figure out who's your
But I
friends
do
and
get
who's
his
not.
point where it's like, it's a kid's record. It's a kid's record.
I think it is, yeah.
And not only did they put out just normally in kids records you just put out the regular, but they actually put out one that's like,
Oh, here's the
you know,
gold
this
version.
with
Right,
like the gold,
right.
like and the insert, and that's really kind of cool.
Yes.
Make it cool for the kids. This is what now you have the version with the insert. Like
That's
if you were like an
the thing.
8-year-old,
and the gold
10-year-old kid,
foil.
that's starting it.
Yeah,
the same
that's
as
the special thing.
same as Star Wars toys got
It's
you
such
into
a
like
fun record.
you know
it's such a fun
record collecting.
And I'm also not like a huge sports person. I do like boxing, and I think that maybe the reason I'm not a sports person, but I like boxing, is because when I'm of the age where like at the time. It's like Muhammad Ali and Evel Knievel were like the two coolest people on the planet.
Yes, yeah.
And it's just like so.
Like even if you didn't like
And one
sports,
of
you
them
knew.
was an athlete.
Yeah.
And one of them
one
was
was a maniac.
yeah. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you
Maybe
know,
both.
like, at the time that this came out, it was like Muhammad Ali was like whether they liked sports or not, like they were like he was somebody you looked up to, and he was somebody that actually could maybe get you to brush your teeth, you know?
Right, exactly, yeah. Lovely.
Should we wrap up?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Muhammad Ali.
Thank you, Muhammad Ali.
Thank you, Frank Sinatra.
Thank you, Frank
Art
Sinatra.
Purcell.
Thank you, Richie Havens. Thank you to the gang.
Howie,
Yeah, do you want to stick
Do you want to do
some of this?
a quick
We
letter?
haven't done a letter in a minute, and we got a really cool letter from Jeannie Wolf, and she asks us what our favorite childhood soundtracks are. Now, that could mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm saying movie soundtrack. I think that's what she means by that. But also, what is childhood? Because certainly in my adolescent years, I was already a new wave kid, and I loved so many records, like soundtracks to movies, but I'm thinking kid. So, like Grease, I love the Grease soundtrack, you know. So I guess real quick, because I know we only have a couple minutes, I'll say Grease. What do you think? I know Henry is ready, so I could hear his brain going.
Oh no,
He's got a childhood
it's like
soundtrack.
I know what I'm going to say, but
Yeah.
go ahead, James.
Well, so I
brought
actually brought, because we were kind of talking about children's records and things. So I brought a childhood Muppet movie soundtrack that has my
Awesome.
dad's
Saw it in the theater.
James Joyce.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, me too.
Nice.
And And it was a, this might be like my first LP around the,
I mean, I would say seeing
Superman LP,
seeing Elton John do Crocodile Rock on the Muppet Show, I think it was 1978, made me want to become a musician.
Now, James, did you write that on there, or did your
This is my dad. This is my dad's handwriting.
Did he realize he completely destroyed the resale value of that record?
I know.
But he's got your dad's got really good print. Your dad's
He does.
He has good handwriting.
He still writes like this. That's what I like about
Immensely,
it.
very good penmanship.
Yeah.
What's your
He's an
favorite
accountant.
soundtrack?
I don't really know that I have a favorite. When I was younger, probably a little bit older than I should have been, I really liked, they were putting out all the Disney on vinyl. And I know that I had the 101 Dalmatians, and I listened to that one a lot. And so that was like maybe first, second grade.
That kind of era.
But then
That's childhood.
and this is weird talking about like, I know we've talked a lot about how my parents were younger and like introduced me to like some strange music kind of early on. So when I was in like fourth grade, I think Rocky Horror had come out a little bit before, and my mom and stepdad were really into it, so they were going to see it a lot. I was too young to go see it, but they had it on vinyl.
Oh, nice,
So
it's a great record.
Me and a couple of friends that were like their friends' kids wouldn't be able to see the movie, but we would like stay at my house and just listen. So I knew all the songs to Rocky Horror.
What do you got, Henry?
So, it's weird for me to talk about like a record on vinyl because I don't remember anything not being on vinyl until CDs came around.
Right.
Tapes,
Besides like 8-track, but it's like
tapes suck. Tapes have always sucked, but vinyl was all I had growing up, and I had an immense collection of bullshit, mostly the Beatles.
Yeah, me too.
But the record that was my gateway to hearing nasty words was a soundtrack. The Smokey and the Bandit soundtrack.
Excellent. Yes.
And it was my introduction to Jackie Gleason.
Amazing.
Who I consider to be one of the greatest comedy minds of the 20th century, alongside Groucho Marx, Steve Martin, Steve Allen. But what I love about the soundtrack, it is so steeped in like Jerry Reed doing like killer songs. I mean, it is prime era Jerry Reed.
Yeah.
But then it fades into like clips from the movie.
Yes.
Wow. I know. We're big Burt Reynolds fans.
Well, but also bear in mind, my parents would not let me go see it. The first PG movie I saw was 3 years after this came out. Was Stripes. I saw Stripes in 1982.
Great movie.
Crazy that's PG. But
so, my parents would not, or I'm sorry, did I say PG? I meant R.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
That makes more. Yeah.
There's some
but with
TNA in that one. Yeah.
I didn't even when I had the Smokey and the Bandit soundtrack, I had never seen the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I mean, all I had was the record, but for my 10th birthday, my mom took me and my friends to the Houston Galleria, and we saw Smokey and the Bandit 2.
Nice. Yeah.
And she did this specifically because she knew that you like.
Fucking right. Yes.
Dude,
and that's exactly what I said when I was 10.
I've met your mom. I've met your mom.
Yeah,
She's awesome.
Yeah, my mom.
This goes out to your mom.
That's so cool.
I want to say again, shout out to Brian and Mikey and Trackside Tavern.
Shout out to my mom.
And shout out to your mom.
Shout out to Henry Owings.
And a special shout out to our dear friend, our old friend Henry Owings. This has been a blasty, and cheers, everyone.
Somebody
Much
better
love.
give me another shot.
Thanks, Henry.
Yes.
Henry
Thank
needs
you.
another shot.
Cheers.
Take care.
Let's get another shot.
Goodbye. Get vaccinated.